Okay, students, our first lab is about vector additions. And in vector addition in this virtual lab, we have different options, like for example, to work in 1D, in one dimension. So if you're working in one dimension and you want to load vector, you just grab the vector A, for example, and put it here on the origin, on the zero, you know. And now you can extend it as much as you want, right? You can get a vector B. You can just put it here. And if you want the vector to be negative, you can extend it in the opposite direction. And now, for example, you can try to find what is the value of the resultant vector. So the resultant vector would be the vector S that is over here. And if you find the length, right, of this vector S, you can now, for example, find, you're clicking values here, and you can find the value. So the vector A was a vector with a magnitude of 14 units. The vector B has a magnitude of 10 units. The vector sum, or the resultant vector, have a magnitude of 4 units. You can also pick a 2D to work into dimensions. And into dimensions, you can grab one vector, for example, here, and you can find, you can change direction and magnitude. And you can see now here on the top the components of the vector AX and AY, right? You can also put a vector B, for example, here. And now you can find a resultant vector, for example, and this will be the resultant vector in this case between vector A and vector B. Do you know how you can get this resultant vector? You can to figure out what is that the resultant vector. You can now add the vectors using the rule of adding vectors graphically, and you see how the resultant vector S is the resultant between vector A and vector B. So you want to find the magnitude, for example, for the different vectors and their direction. We can find, for example, that the values for all the vectors, just clicking here, and for the angles, clicking here, right? For example, the resultant vector is a vector with 37.2, and now the angle for the resultant vector, it looks like is well, here both the resultant vector and the vector A, are pretty close. So let me click on this vector resultant to see if I can just see the angle for this vector. Look at that, like is 29.8 degree. The angle for the vector B is this one, that is 36.9 degree, for example. Also, you can work in this case with this other, where you can just find, for example, 1A plus 2B. For example, you can just find the addition of two vectors. So I want to find 1A plus 2B. So you do 1A plus 2B, and 1A plus 2B, that is this one, give you, for example, these are the values, these are the angles, right? And give you this resultant vector that have 18 units with 56.3. Now, suppose that I want to do 2A plus 3B, and your resultant vector now is this vector of 29.2 with 59 degree, right? You want to find the components, and here you have the components x and y of each of the vectors that are involved, right? So this is, the vector addition lab is pretty interesting. So I recommend that you follow the instructions that I give you in or as part of the lab number one, and develop different activities or the different actions, in order to analyze uh, how we work with vectors. So thank you for your attention. I hope you're going to do great in lab number one.